It is August 21st, and today we're going to be talking about the keto diet and everything that you need to know about the keto diet. There's been lots of heated topics about the keto diet. Some say it's good, some say it's bad, and some are just, in between. But yes, the keto diet is a diet that works, but it only works if you understand what the keto diet actually is. And if you don't, then basically you're not doing the keto diet, okay? So pretty much I'm going to be discussing just concepts and theories and piecing them all together so you guys could have a better understanding of what the keto diet is. First off is that we need to understand how we are using energy throughout the day. So basically what energy is macros, right? I'm talking in terms of like calories. Calories are macros that are broken up into carbs, fats, and protein. And these three macros do have their individual role. But let's think of it like this. Really, all a macro really is an energy source. Let's forget the fact that protein is used for muscle building, and let's forget the fact that fats are for health and carbs for energy. Let's think of it like this. All it is that it's all a type of energy source, and we use that, and our body uses these macros in order to get through the day and use it for what we want to do. So for carbohydrates, that is our preferred source of energy, of course. When we eat carbohydrates, we go through this process of glycogenesis. And basically, when carbs is inside our bloodstream, it turns into glucose, right? And so through the process of glucogenesis, the carb gets transferred into the muscle and liver, and we store it there as glycogen, right? Glycogen. So basically, in short terms, glucogenesis is just carbs to glycogen. And glycogen is the bank of our carbs. We store it there. And the way we use carbs for energy is a process called glycolysis. All right, this is carbs. I guess we just call it. This is carbs processor, glycolysis. So basically, we go through glycolysis by this. Our body needs energy, and so it pulls out glucose from our glycogen to our bloodstream so we could use it through glycolysis, meaning that we use it for our brain to think, we use it to walk, we use it to just our everyday life, to live. That's a glycolysis. We're using it to use it as an energy to do stuff. Glycolysis is an anaerobic movement, meaning that it does not use oxygen to break down as energy. It doesn't require oxygen, so that's a glycolysis, all right? So now for protein can also be used as an energy source. It really can. Protein can be turned into a carbohydrate. Now, we obviously do not and never want to use protein as energy, but when we do, the process to use protein as an energy source, right? Not for protein purposes, not for muscle purposes, right? As energy purposes, right? Is through a process called gluconeogenesis. And basically what that is that glucogenesis is when a protein, we don't have carb as an energy source, right? So we have protein, from our muscle and all that, and more the protein we eat. So we break down the protein into a carbohydrate. Now that protein that has been turned into a carbohydrate will then go through the process of glycolysis once again. Basically, it's just like glycolysis. It's breaking down protein so protein could turn into a carb, so the carb could go through the process of glycolysis. That's how we use protein as energy if we ever have to, but you never ever want to use that as an energy source. You just don't. You want protein to use it as its purpose and always for its purpose. Now for fats is usually known for health, but yes, when fats get used as energy, that is called the ketosis process. That is when our fats get turned into a energy source called ketones, right? And that's hence the name. That's how we get the word keto or ketosis diet, that is when we use ketones as energy instead of carbs or protein as energy. That's the state of ketosis. Now keep in mind, these three processors, glycolysis, gluconeogenesis, and ketosis, we can only be using pretty much one processor at the same time. You know, if you're trying to look left, straight, or right, you can only look one way at the same time. So depending on what you are doing with your diet, you are in these three states. Hopefully you're not using gluconeogenesis, protein as energy source. That is just terrible. All right, now we got that out of the way. Now let's talk about the process of converting into keto and how people do it and how people do it wrong, how people do it right, and all this. So the majority of the people here uses carbs as energy source. And once again, this is through the process of glycolysis. The way we get into keto is okay, it sounds simple, but so here's the way that we say to get into keto is just to cut your carbs, and then the next day you'll get into keto and you'll slowly get to keto. That is false. That is a flaw, and I'm going to explain why. So ketosis takes a very, very long time to get to. It takes a very long time to adapt to. Some people give up the first week because they don't feel good on keto, and the reason why they don't feel good on keto is because they're forcing their body to use an energy source that they're not used to. They have to adapt. It takes a long time, like I say around 2 to 6 weeks or around that range. So for instance, let's say we have a factory, right? A factory. Let's say that we have a regular power plant, right? That's using coal for fuel, right? And that coal for fuel, let's say that it is carbohydrates. Now, we want to convert this factory into a nuclear power plant. We want to use solar energy for fuel now, because you know we just want to make that conversion. That nuclear power plant that we're trying to get to, that is ketosis. So the coal power plant is glycolysis, right? Using carbs, and we're trying to convert into a nuclear power plant and use ketosis, right? A cleaner source for fuel. So now with the factory thingy, let's pretend that we are the factory, right? So we will feel like crap if we're trying to convert into ketosis, if we just completely drop the carbs and go in and, you know, add fats immediately the next day, and we want to feel good on keto. The reason why we don't feel good is because we're not adapted to it. Think about it like this. Our factory, our power plant factory that's using coal, we switch over to nuclear fuel the next day and we're not having a good effect. It's because that factory is not even a nuclear power plant factory to begin with. You have to slowly, you know, add in tools, bend in this stuff, do these weird type of stuff, right? And add in parts, take out parts. And then that's when we're able to use solar energy as a fuel source. So that's why when people try to convert and just add fats impulsively into your body and cut out carbs, you feel like crap. The reason why you feel like crap is because you're not in ketosis. You're just not. It's like this. We have a coal power plant, and then we have nuclear energy, but then we have so much nuclear energy the next day. So we're a power plant that uses fuel, and the next day we just took out all of the coal, right? And we literally now we have fuel source, but we have no way to use the fuel source. I mean, we have no way to operate that day because we have the fuel source, we have the solar energy, but we're a coal power plant and we just cannot freaking use this for energy because we're a coal power plant with solar energy. That's the same thing how our body works. So when you are on a carb diet and you take out carbs completely the next day, right? And then you add in fats immediately, you're not in ketosis. What you are actually using as energy is actually protein. Yes, protein. And maybe just a little bit of ketosis, but guess what? You're actually using the process of gluconeogenesis. So that means you're destroying your body. That's why you feel like crap. And that's why some people that work out, they lose their strength because they're using protein as an energy source. Think about it like this. You use carbs, right? You cut carbs completely. Because you are not adapted to a keto diet yet, right? Your system has not been built yet to use ketones as an available source. Yes, you're producing ketones. You've produced ketones throughout the day that you cut carbs completely. You produce ketones, it's in your body, but your body doesn't know how to use the ketones because your system is not built like that yet. So what it's doing is that because it's still in a carb adapted system, what do you think is gonna happen? You're actually not in a ketosis diet, you're actually not in a glycolysis diet, you're in a gluconeogenesis diet, meaning you're breaking down the next available source of energy, which is protein. Now you're using that carbohydrate for glycolysis. That is terrible. That is why people that go straight into keto think the keto diet sucks, but they're not in ketosis, they're in gluconeogenesis. That is the wrong way to do it. So what is the best way to convert into keto? Well, it's very simple. I'm going to be explaining, the simplest way to get into keto and the most optimal way your body to slowly adapt your body from a carb-using diet to a fat-using diet, right? So, okay, here we go. The first week, also, I need to emphasize this, is that you need to be tracking your food and your macros already. You have to. If you don't, and then first off, you need to do it because it will help out your fitness journey a lot more, and I strongly encourage that. Because if you want to do the keto diet and you're not tracking food already, then what's the point of doing the keto diet when you've never even tracked your food before? You need to be tracking your carbs, your fat, and your protein in order to be able to optimally convert into keto. So we have to understand how our body naturally gets into keto. Have you ever guys thought about people that's on episodes like I Shouldn't Be Alive and all that? They haven't eaten for days. Pretty much they're in a severe caloric deficit, right? They've used up all their glycogen, they used up everything, and they're breaking down protein as energy source and all that too. And guess what? They're actually slowly converting into keto. Yeah, pretty cool, right? They're using protein as energy, right? But then their body is so depleted that they are in a starved state enough to go into keto. So to get into keto, you have to be depleted of calories, meaning that you have to be eating less calories in the first place. And obviously the second one is that you have to be eating low amount of carbohydrates. You want to just kind of get rid of carbohydrates. So the best way to do it is this. The first week, because you're tracking your food and calories and your macros, right? You're gonna keep your protein and your fats the same. And then you're gonna cut your carbs by 25%. That's it, just 25%. And so your body can still, run through glycolysis a bit, and it's determining a caloric deficit, which emphasizes the fact more that later on you will get into keto because you're eating less calories. And then the second week, right, you're gonna cut it down to another 25% of how much you usually intake. So, and then the third week, this is optional. This is very optional, but I strongly encourage you to do it too, that you drop it by another 25%, right? It's gonna be very hard, but you want your body to get into that survival mode, right? And then you want to make it realize that it's slowly cutting carbs, and it's slowly adding these parts of keto into it. And on this third week, you can also add around 10 to 15% more protein, So, you save muscle tissue, and you save muscle tissue so you could maintain your muscle and for metabolism purposes. So for instance, let's say that we have a person that's eating 120 grams of protein, 50 grams of fat, and 200 grams of carbs. So the first week, we're starting on Monday. First week, we're gonna cut his carbs by 25%. That's 50 grams of carbs. So the first week he's only eating 150 grams of carbs. The second week we dropped to another 25%. Now he's at 100 grams of carbs, right? That second week he's eating 100 grams of carbs. Remember, we're keeping the fats and the protein the same. Now let's say that this guy, he really wants to adapt into keto, so he's gonna do the third week option. It's very optional. He's gonna do the third week. Now he's only eating 50 grams of carbs now for that week, right? But because of we want to ensure that he maintains muscle too, we're gonna add protein by like 15, right? So instead of eating 120 grams of protein that week, he's gonna make it to like maybe 130, 140, around there, okay? He's gonna keep it there just for safety purposes. Now, by the end of that third week, our body is to the point where it can barely use glycolysis anymore, because we're barely eating any damn carbs at all. Is that we're in throughout the day, we're in semi-keto and we're in semi-glycolysis. So we're bouncing back and forth between the two, right? And it's having a hard time processing which energy to freaking use as energy. It's like, oh my God, like throughout the week, I've adapted some of these tools inside my body for keto, and I still have some parts to use for carbs too. I don't know which one to bounce to, which energy source. So now this is when we flip the switch. By the end of that that third week, we completely cut carbs, just completely cut it. And then we add fats. And that is when you switch into keto, and then that is when you are feeling so much better. Now this guy is just feeling a lot more better. And that is how you convert into keto. Now, fourth week, we add in fats. And how many fats do we add in? I would recommend just adding, I would say go slow. Don't add so much fat, because now that you just made the switch into keto, you're still not fully keto adapted. So you don't want to add so much fat to the point where, it's not utilizing that. You're not getting the fat burning effect that you want. For this guy, we'll just add in 25% more calories back into his diet per week from calories of fats. So we've been dropping 50 grams of carbs each week, right? In fats, there's 2.25 times more calories than a carb. So in order to add in, the same amount of calories from fats back into your diet per week, you know what I mean? For this guy, we're going to be dividing 50 by 2.25, and that gets us 22.2, and we're just gonna make it 25 for the easy purposes of this video. Now his new macros is still gonna be 120 grams of protein. I forgot. After that third week, you could go back into eating your same amount of grams of protein. So it's gonna be 120 grams of protein, and then his first week of full keto, we're adding 25, right? So 50 plus 25, that's 75 grams of fat, and we're eating no carbs at all. Remember, we're in keto now. And the second week, we'll add 25 again, and then, the third week of keto, we'll add another 25, and the fourth week, you'll be fully keto adapted. And this guy's new macros will be like maybe like 150 grams of fat, 120 grams of protein, like barely any to no carbs at all. Just around 20 grams of net carbs a day. Now you guys are probably wondering, why not, when I'm cutting through the process of cutting carbs, why not just add fats while cutting carbs, right? The reason why I'm not doing this is because, well, if you cut carbs and you add little fats throughout that, week of trying to convert into keto, remember, your body is not even keto adapted yet. So if you're just adding the fats, it's pretty much useless. You're just making it a little bit harder for yourself to convert into keto. Remember, to get into keto, you have to be into a caloric deficit state, and you have to eat no carbs. That's like the best way to get to keto. So if we keep doing that, cut carbs, add fats, that you can do that. You can, but the best and most optimal way is to just cut carbs, keep the fats and protein the same. Don't add the fats yet, and then right when your carb is so low, when you're balancing between keto and glycolysis, make the switch and slowly add the fats back in. That's when you optimally use ketones as your source of energy. So when I did my first men's physique show about 2 months ago, I actually use keto not for a lifestyle purpose, right? I use it for a tool of cutting. Now, here's my story. I was around 140, my weight goal was 145, around there. And I was around 148. And I was like maybe, I think 2.5 weeks in. And then I was at it to the point where I also prepped this show in 6 weeks, so I had to make drastic measures. I had to cut my calories, okay? Believe me, I was only eating around 60 to 80 grams of carbs every freaking day. And my freaking protein was 130 to 150, and my fats were around, my fats were only around 30 or 40. Yeah, it was pretty freaking severe. So the thing is that I was losing weight from that, right? It was pretty crazy. I was losing weight from that, but then I felt like crap. I already told myself that the moment I feel like crap, the moment I feel like this low carb diet is just making me go so hard throughout the day, by doing low carbs like that, I'm going to be tapping into muscle tissue soon. I will, because if I'm low carb, right? You know, let's say let's say that I use up all my carbs already. I'm only eating, remember, 60 to 80 grams of carbs only a day, and I use up all my carbs. What do you think is gonna happen? I'm gonna use protein as the next source of energy. If I feel like crap and I have no carbs, I'm bouncing between ketosis a bit. I'm using fats as energy, but then because I'm not adapted to keto yet, I'm actually going through gluconeogenesis, and I'm using protein, turning it into a carb to use that as energy instead. So I made the switch, and the moment I switched into keto, right? The moment I took carbs out completely and I raised up my fats just a little bit, right? I went from 40, 50 grams of fat to like maybe 80 grams of fats, maybe around 70 to 80, that's it. I felt amazing, okay? And guess what? My weight also started dropping down too. So when I made the switch to keto, I just felt amazing after that. And I had a very fun prep. And that was like 2 weeks in, and then I finished my prep on keto, and then I became keto adapted. Here's another story. 1 week after my show, I didn't go back and eat whatever I want, you know. I went back on the keto diet because I was already that much adapted into it. I was already 2 weeks into the keto diet, so my body is already kind of keto adapted. So I went back onto the keto diet. I reverse dieted back up. Now here's the thing. I reverse dieted back up. I raised my fats from, you know, to around 25 each. I went from like, you know, 70, 80 to 100 to 120 grams of fat, you know, the week right after my show. Now here's the thing. I carb loaded before my show, because before a show you have to carb load so your muscles look full. So that's like 4 days of just straight up eating carbs, right? And then 1 week later, and I reverse dieted. I add fats back into my diet. I reached a new low. It was crazy. I reached like 140, 145, 144. Like I reached a new low, and I was even leaner. Now had I had like another week to prep, you know, like 7 weeks instead of 6, who knows what would have happened on my show. So the keto diet is a very protein sparing diet, and you save more muscle compared to a regular carbohydrate diet. At first I wouldn't believe in myself too, yes, but think about it like this, because it is true. So use carbs, and then you run out of carbs for energy. Because you're carb adapted, your glycolysis adapted, you're not gonna freaking use fats as the next available source of energy. You're just not. You're gonna be breaking down protein as energy. When you're in keto diet, you have unlimited amount of fat, guys. Like unlimited, like there's a reason why I have body fat percentage. We have an unlimited amount of fat. So when we run out of fats, we don't run out of fats. We just keep using keto as energy, and protein is always spared for its purposes, for muscle recovery and all that. So when we are in a ketosis diet, we don't really break down protein as the next energy source. The only reason when we're on a keto diet, the only reason when we will use the process of gluconeogenesis is when we eat too much protein, right? Too much protein during a carb diet, and we actually, you know, kind of bounce off keto, and we begin using the protein as for glycolysis again. That's why you want to keep your protein kind of low. But hear this. when you are keto adapted, right? When you're fully adapted into keto, when you eat carbs, you actually don't get kicked out of ketosis. A lot of people say that when you are in a keto diet and then, you know, let's say you eat carbs, right? You eat carbs, you get kicked out of keto. That's pretty true, but it's not true too. I understand this concept. So now the reason being why you're not truly kicked out of ketosis is because this. Remember, when you eat carbs, that carb goes through the process of glucogenesis. It's not gluconeogenesis, glucogenesis. That means that the carb is just being transferred into your glycogen, right? And then remember, because we're in ketosis, we're not gonna be using that carb for glycolysis. We're not. So it's just that carb is just gonna be stored into our glycogen, but we're never really using it for glycolysis. We're already so keto adapted. We're using ketones for ketosis. Think about it like this. It was so hard for a carb guy to develop into a ketosis diet. Right? It is so hard it took so long for you to get into a diet of ketosis. The longer you're in keto, the more adapted you are into keto, the harder it will to get kicked out of keto. Meaning that if you want to convert to keto back to glycolysis, it's gonna be pretty tough to do that too. That is why you're inside ketosis and you're not really using carbs for glycolysis. You're just using the carbs for anaerobic exercises. That means that when you're in ketosis and you're doing, you know, heavy movements like that, you're not using the fats as energy. You're using, it's weird, right? It's really weird, but you're using the carbohydrates that's been stored inside your glycogen as energy because of that anaerobic exercise. Because ketosis is aerobic, right? You're using fats, and fats require oxygen. So you're not using ketones. You're doing that, you know, PR lift. You're doing that 300-pound bench press lift. You're using the carbs, but you're not really in like a glycolysis state in which you do it for everyday life. You're just using that for that purpose. It's kind of like how when you're doing a carb diet, right? It's kind of like this. It's kind of like how you're doing cardio and you're kind of using fats as energy instead of carbohydrate as energy, because it's an aerobic exercise. That's kind of how it works. That right there is just something really interesting that you guys need to, you know, at least know a little bit. This one is for obvious purposes too, but the concept of eating any type of fats is pretty flawed out, because it's kind of like a carb diet. If you eat like Pop-Tarts and let's just say a bad source of carb, right? Your body's gonna have a hard time to break it down for energy. Same thing as fats. If you eat high saturated fats that really clog up your heart and all that stuff, very bad fats, you're going to be having a hard time using ketones as energy. Pretty simple. The best fats that you should be eating is poly and monosaturated fats. That's stuff like peanut butter, almond, macadamia nuts, any type of vegetable oil, olive oil, any of that. And use those type of good stuff and you will feel good using a keto diet too. So now here's the truth about coconut oil. What about coconut oil? Some people say it's a really good source of ketones because, you know, you eat it and then it turns into these stuff we call MCTs, right? Medium chain triglycerides. Basically, this is stuff that is, when it gets inside your bloodstream, it is immediately used as ketones. Guess what, guys? You should not use coconut oil when you're on a keto diet. Hear me out. When you're in a keto diet, how do we use ketones as energy? We're breaking down the fats that we have inside our body and we're using it as energy. So if you're eating MCT oil and coconut oil and all that, you're breaking it down into MCT, and you're not like it's skipping the process of going into your fat storage. It's just immediately using it as a fuel source. That means that it's pretty much, that's not even ketosis. That's kind of like, it kind of acts like a carb right there. You know, if it's fastly digested into your bloodstream and you use it as energy, that's not really keto, is it? That's why I say avoid coconut oil and avoid MCTs. Believe me or not, but remember the fact that ketones are used from our fat storage, and using MCTs and coconut oil is just a big scam. Alright, so what about the concept that the keto diet works? Because when people are on a fat loss diet, the keto diet works because they're simply eating less calories than what they're burning. You know, some people say that all that matters is that you're in a caloric deficit. That's why the keto diet is working. Yeah, you are true. You're eating a caloric deficit. You're using less energy that you expend out, so you're losing weight, right? Yes, that's true. But there is a but. That is also false. Those guys that think that calories in and calories out, let me enlighten you guys. So the reason why keto works is because of the fat burning that it does inside your body and through the fat burning hormones. Remember this, guys, keto uses fats, and to use fats as energy you need oxygen, right? And what also requires oxygen and use fats as energy? Cardio. So if keto uses fats as energy, that means that you're pretty much in a cardio state all the time. Pretty cool, right? Therefore, you burn more calories than what you usually burn. Alright, so if you're in a caloric deficit in a keto, you're actually in a super caloric deficit on keto. People need to take that into account. So all these guys that think that all you need to do is eat a caloric deficit and then the diet works. Keto works because you're in a caloric deficit. You guys don't understand fat burning hormones. I guarantee you guys don't. Allow me to explain to you guys what the keto diet does to your fat burning hormones: insulin and leptin. Alright. So, first off, what is insulin? Basically, insulin is a hormone that comes out of your body when you eat something, and it drags that something into the places inside your body. So if you eat carb and it's in your bloodstream, the insulin comes out of your pancreas, right, your body, and it drags it into the glycogen, all right? And that's another word of saying that you're always in a storing mode. You're always depositing energy. When your insulin level is high, you are always storing energy. You can't store energy and take out energy at the same time, right? So the opposite of insulin, the hormone, is glucagon. So insulin stores energy, right? Glucagon takes out energy. It takes out energy, and hence that's why ketosis, we're pretty much always high in glucagon. We're taking out fats that we use and using it as energy. When you're low in insulin, you're high in glucagon. You can't be high in both and low in both. You just can't. That's just how the body works. So when you are low in insulin, you are constantly burning fats as energy the whole entire time. Now, I know that understanding that concept doesn't really matter much about calories in, calories out, but what about this? You mainly secrete insulin when you eat carbohydrates. So when you eat carbohydrates and you're always high or relatively right there baseline of insulin, you have to burn out through those carbs throughout the day. You have to use the carbs throughout the day in order to freaking survive, right? But because you are low in insulin on a keto diet, you're using fats throughout the day, all the whole entire time. You don't have any, because you're keto adapted. Let's say if you have some carbs inside your glycogen, you're not gonna be using those carbs for purpose of surviving throughout the day, because you're keto adapted. You're not glycolysis adapted. You're using fats throughout the day the whole entire time. Therefore, that kind of implies why you burn more calories on a keto diet. Keto, like any diet, is not sustainable. It's just not. And that is why we use cheat days. This right here will explain why keto burns more calories than your regular typical diet. And those people that think that just being in a caloric deficit will just burn calories, this is when you need to listen. We have this special hormone inside our body called leptin. So what leptin does is that it sends this trigger to your brain, and then it's gonna say, okay, we have a lot of energy, we have a lot of food, let's freaking use all this food for energy. Now same thing goes for the other side. We don't have a lot of food, dude, so we have to kind of not use that much calories. So this kind of determines your metabolism. So when you are low in leptin, you are burning less calories. When you're high in leptin, you burn more calories. So what you want to do is get your leptin level a spike every time, right? So you can burn more calories. So when your leptin level is high, your metabolism is super fast. You're burning a lot of calories, right? And insulin also increases your metabolism. So the higher your leptin and your insulin is, the higher your metabolism is. So refeeds are stuff that help increase your leptin and insulin level to a point where it's burning a lot of calories. What the heck does this has to do with anything about keto and proving that keto burns more calories than regular diets that's using caloric deficits? Well, because levels of leptin and insulin are controlled by the amount of carbs that you eat, right? So when you're doing a regular diet, your leptin level and your leptin level and your insulin level are pretty stable, right? And it can adapt too. It can adapt and it can slowly drop because it's adapting, right? And that is why we use Refeed, so we can reset leptin and insulin level. What do you think is gonna happen when your leptin level resets? Your metabolism for a couple of days is now increased. So now, let's say that we refeed today. Our leptin level is right here. We refeed today. Our leptin level and insulin level is now right here, right? And then day 1 is slowly decreasing. Day 2 is slowly decreasing. Day 3 is still decreasing. Day 4 is when it finally gets back to baseline. So throughout those 4 days, you got away with some fat burning. That is why when people are cutting, right, they have these cheat days. It's not for psychological issues. I mean, it's for psychological issues. It's for eating good food, but it's for, think about it like this, it's for fat burning too. It's not taking a step forward and then a half step back. It's actually you're using it for a fat burning purpose. So let's say you're on a regular diet, right? You're eating this, you're in a caloric deficit, right? But your insulin and your leptin is slowly decreasing. You refeed and then it goes back up and it goes back up, and you repeat that cycle, right, of eating refeed, and then for a couple of days your metabolism is high, it decreases again, you refeed again, it's high, it's decreasing again. You're using that, and the reason why your leptin level and your insulin level goes down is because of the factor of your carbohydrate intake. So refeeds work when you're eating low carbs because your fat burning hormones are not as high. Now how about this? What if you're in a caloric deficit and you're in a keto diet, meaning that you're eating no carbs at all? That means that your leptin and insulin level is down here. It's super low. It is incredibly low, right? Meaning that what the heck? But you told me that the lower it is, the lower calories you're gonna be burning. So it's just the opposite of what you say. That's why when you refeed, right, the lower your leptin level is, the greater of a metabolism boost you will get after the day of your refeed. So when it's this low on a keto diet, you refeed, dude, it's gonna go up super high. The next couple of days, your metabolism is increased immensely compared to a regular diet. It's just like this, right? On a keto diet, it's like this. So this gap right here that is going throughout your day of your keto diet, you're burning more calories than a regular diet. That's a concept that needs to be understood, and you guys need to know about it, is that keto works best on refeed days. So what if you guys say that keto diet, it doesn't matter, all that matters is that it's the amount of calories that you eat, right? Okay, so let's say my maintenance calories is 2,000 calories, right? On a regular carb, protein, and Western diet, I'm eating 2,000 calories for a whole week. right? So 2,000 times 7, because there's 7 days in a week, right? You get 14,000 calories, right? Because 2,000 times 7 is 14,000. Come on. So that means that let's say I'm around 146 around there. Throughout that whole week, I'm still gonna be 146. Now, for the one that didn't know, I did a 10,000 calorie challenge, and the next week that I weighed, I was the same exact weight. I was around 146, 147, the same weight. And how could that be possible? Well, on my standard keto diet, I'm still eating 2,000 calories as well, right? But that one day that I ate 10,000 calories, meaning that my weekly calories, that 2,000 times 6 is 12,000. And plus that one day I ate 10,000 calories, that's 22,000 calories. I'm gonna say it again. 22,000 calories, all right? That right there is a 8,000 calorie difference. But guess what? I didn't gain any weight because it was still throughout the whole entire week, right? I still stayed at 146, but I ate 8,000 calories more. 14,000 compared to 22,000 because of that 10,000 calorie challenge I did. On that 10,000 calorie challenge I did, 6 days prior, I was on a keto diet. Yeah. And the reason why I was the same weight next week after that 10,000 calorie challenge, it was because of the fat burning hormones that was in play of this challenge. After that challenge, I was already depleted, right? But I ate 10,000 calories, and then I'm supposed to be like 150 by the end of the next week. I was supposed to gain a lot of weight from a lot of calories, right? But I didn't. I stayed the same weight. So on keto, you have no carbs, right? So you're not holding water. So the day after the challenge, I weighed, I think I was around 153, around there, 154, 153. And then, yeah, as each day came by, right? It slowly came by. My weight was dropping 2 pounds to a pound each freaking day. I was 153, and I was like 150, and I'm 140. I kept dropping weight, and by next Saturday, after the week of the 10,000 calorie challenge, I was at the same weight. What does that mean? That means that I get to eat 10,000 calories every freaking one day of the week, and I will maintain my weight because of the ketosis diet. That right there is enough evidence that keto, it does not matter about eating a caloric deficit and then you're losing weight, all right? Calories in, calories out, weekly calories in, weekly calories out. That is false. There's a reason why I'm doing food challenges every freaking week and I'm not gaining weight, all right? I was just one of the ones that questioned how the heck could this work and why does it work? And I just did the research. I didn't just look at the studies and I didn't just, do my homework. I implemented it. I had credibility because I did it myself and I've been doing it ever since. This diet, and the reason why it works, if you guys want to check it out, is by Dr. D. Pasquales. It is called the anabolic diet, where it kind of is using a modified keto diet. And with this, you can get away with a lot of eating. And then because the metabolism boosts and all that good stuff. So here's another concept and the truth to why people do the keto diet. Why do people do the keto diet? They do it because they want to get away with, eating high fats. Just eat high fats and it's very healthy. And they want to use fats as energy source. It's a cleaner source, right? It's fats. And then, they're not using carbs. Well, here's the reason why I do it. It's a very fun diet. Your brain uses ketones, and then your brain is running more fresher on this type of stuff. And thirdly, dude, seriously, I get to eat high fats on the weekdays, and when on my cheat day, I eat whatever I freaking want. And then because of my body is so depleted, because of carbs, right? I get that fat burning effects. Now, if I was on a regular carb diet, 2,000 calories, and I did a 10,000 calorie challenge thingy, by next Saturday, I'm gonna gain a lot of freaking weight because you're not in keto, you don't have that fat burning effect, you're not manipulating your fat burning hormones, you're just gonna get fatter and fatter. Had I eat 22,000 calories on a regular carb diet, my weight next week will be higher, meaning I'll be gaining weight. But I'm eating 22,000 calorie diet, and I'm implementing this keto style of dieting, and I'm not gaining weight. Here's another misconception, is that when people are on keto, they think that they can eat all the fats that they want, they can eat whatever. They just don't. They just have to not track their food. They just have to eat, high fats and high protein. They're eating steak, eating all this good stuff. Yeah, they are, but they're not tracking food, and they're like, it's not working. The keto diet is not working. Well, the reason why it's not working is because you are just eating too much fats, and sometimes your body is not even keto adapted yet. The people that it's not working, they're not keto adapted, so they're bouncing between gluconeogenesis, using protein as an energy source, and they're never getting that sweet ketosis effect, because they're eating either too much protein or they're just eating too much fat, way too much fat. Like anything, too much of anything will not work. If you're trying to lose weight, you need to track your calories. You need to track how many fats you're eating and the amount of protein you're eating. It's very simple. It's actually more simpler than a carb diet too. Let's track carb, protein, and fats on a regular carb diet. While keto, you just have to track two stuff, and that's really it. So the truth about keto is that you still have to track your food. But it is worth it. I'm telling you, it is worth it, because you could get away with the refeeds so good that you're eating more calories weekly because of that cheat day. You're gonna be the same weight by the next morning of your next cheat day. So believe it or not, our body actually used to run on ketones before carbs. Carb came along, and then our body got used into the process of glycolysis. So I'm gonna take you back to where our first ancestors used to be, when we used to be like, hunters and gatherers, right? These guys were keto adapted, because what they did was that they hunted for animals, they hunted for meat and all that, and then, what they did is that, they go days without eating, right? These are like ancestors back then. They had to hunt for their food, and because they don't have carbs, they're not eating carbs all the time. They're not eating, like every 3 hours like us. They're never getting to glycolysis. They're actually in ketosis. And because they're keto adapted like that, their brain actually ran on ketosis. Even though they ate carbs back then too. Let's say they ate carbs, they're never really kicked out of ketosis, because remember, when you're keto adapted, it's very, very hard to get into another diet. One diet and another diet, it takes a long time for that conversion to happen. Another concept is that when people are on keto, they lose like 10 pounds the first week. And they're like, well, the keto diet works. Yeah, it works. And the reason why that happened is because you're not eating carbs, so you're not holding water. And so the majority of that weight that you lost, surprisingly, is just water. But besides that, continue the keto diet and continue using these refeeds, so your body can slowly lose weight like this, right? Get a spike and lose weight like this. Get a spike and lose weight, keep going. Keep doing that, and then I promise you the process of ketosis will still work. I also want to emphasize that you can grow muscle on any type of diet. It could be keto diet, carb diet, paleo diet, any diet. You can grow muscle on keto too. So I've actually never ever been able to bench press 2 plates 7 times, and I've never been able to press shoulder press 85-pound dumbbells. 85-pound freaking dumbbells in my life for one, man. I freaking did it for 8. It's crazy, and understanding how the body works and how your body uses energy is just basically how you will grow muscle. It's just like, I'm not saying that keto got me here, but then I'm just saying that I built this on a keto diet. So yeah, Alright guys, so thanks for tuning in this video. Please like, share this video, because I think it's very important, and people that had wonders about the keto diet really needs to understand this concept. Also guys, and if I need to go more broad into more concepts about keto, or maybe I didn't discuss in this video, please leave a comment down there below and I will discuss about it, and I will help you guys on your journey on keto. It's not the best diet, it's not the worst diet, it's it's if it's work for you. You know, if you could use ketones as a source of fuel, then I recommend you do it. And then it's not for everybody. So yeah, thanks for watching this video. So why should you believe me? Well, still pretty lean and massive. So if you don't believe me, you never understand keto. Subscribe, leave a like, and turn on notifications so you can see more aesthetic content. Peace out.